What's with all these indictments? Man, I don't know what's going on. Hello, everybody. This is Tim. Welcome to the Trailer Trash Tim channel. I'm so glad that you're here. Thanks for joining me. I'm down here in the woods on a nice, fairly pleasant Thursday here in Alabama. Before I forget, let me do a little bit of housekeeping. If you would go ahead and like this video, give me a thumbs up down below and hit that bell notification, I would really appreciate it. If you would subscribe to the channel, that would be fantastic. We're right at 1,200 subscribers. Let's go ahead and get it over the top. If you find value in the content and want to say thank you, you can. There's a link below where you can buy me a coffee. I'm excited because yesterday I was notified from YouTube that I've been monetized. I don't know how that happened. I don't know how it happened so quick, but hey, I'll take it. So I'm grateful for that. I want to thank all of you for making that possible. That being said, I want to say that I've really got to be careful. There's a lot of topics I want to cover on the channel as time goes on, but I know there are certain words and topics that will trigger the powers that be. I don't want to get demonetized my very first day. Although I did want to talk about some of these indictments of Donald Trump on today's video. If you could see behind the scenes, of course it's just me, I need to make a blooper reel. If you knew how many times I had to stop and start a video because my tang gets tangled, or I goof up somehow, or I drop my notes just like I did, although I don't really need them too much, I don't think, today. It would probably make for one hysterical video. I think I probably need to do that, just make a blooper reel. Anyway, we live in some crazy times, let me tell you. And especially here in America, politically speaking, times are just nuts. We've never seen anything quite like what we're experiencing today in the United States. As far as I can tell, the former president, Donald Trump, has been indicted 4 times that we know of. He was indicted on January the 6th in the U.S. District Court of D.C., District of Columbia. He was indicted, on the 1st of August, he was indicted, I'm quoting, for his efforts to overturn the 2020 election, which led to the attack on the Capitol. Then he was indicted on March the 30th in Manhattan by District Attorney Alvin Bragg for paying hush money to Stormy Daniels. Okay, there you go. He was indicted on October 2nd of last year by Letitia James, the Attorney General for the state of New York, for business fraud. And then he was just indicted last week on August the 14th, or earlier this week, I guess it was, by Fannie No Neck Willis, the Fulton County, Georgia District Attorney, whose father, by the way, was not a Democrat or Republican, but a member of the Black Panther Party. And he was indicted there for criminal conspiracy to change the outcome of the election. Got that? I'll pick it up. I can't get into the finer details of all this, neither do I want to, but there's a couple of observations that I have about all this. First of all, I've never been a big Trump fan. I'm really not a big fan of any American politician, to be honest with you, with the exception of Ron Paul, who I was very impressed with. I like his son, Rand. I just don't know if I have a political home anymore. Certainly not with the Democratic Party, probably not with the Republican Party. I'm a small government kind of a guy, conservative kind of a guy, free market kind of a guy. And I'm not sure I fit in anywhere anymore politically in any political party. That said, I never hated Donald Trump. I never loved him. I never hated him. I was fairly objective about him, I thought. I'm still fairly objective about Donald Trump. I thought that while he was president, he did very little to trim the size of government or to balance our budget, but he did some really great things. And the greatest thing that Trump did, in my estimation, was he kept us out of shooting wars, which pretty much you got to go back in ancient history to find a president who did not get us involved in some sort of military conflict. So I give Trump a big couple of thumbs up for that. He did a lot of good things, and I do believe there was, some. Again, here I have to be careful about what I say. But let's just say there was a lot of shenanigans that went on a couple of years ago in America. But it's interesting to me that these indictments all are centered in big American cities, New York and Atlanta, places like that. Because I have maintained for a long time, but that when it comes to voting in the United States, there's a vast difference between the votes that come from large American cities and votes that come from everywhere else. Because the cities, the votes from the cities are almost always for the Democrats. The votes in the more rural parts of the country are almost always for the Republican or the more conservative of the two candidates. That's almost always the case. It's like cities versus counties. We've always had a kind of a challenging demographic in America, which has been billed as a melting pot. I'm not sure that idea really works, but you may recall that in the 1700s, at the time of the Revolutionary War, in the colonies, not every American was sympathetic to the cause of the revolution against England. Not every American wanted to rebel against the king. A lot of Americans were completely happy with being under British rule. And the fact of the matter is, the freest country in the world before the revolution was almost surely British North America. And after the revolution, taxes began to go up, and they've never gone down since. Interesting when you stop and think about it. A lot of these people who were called loyalists at the time of the revolution, a lot of them went to Canada. Now, if you fast forward 100 years or so, then you have another big conflict in America, of course, what we know as a Civil War. So you had the North versus the South. But there again, you had a lot of Americans who weren't necessarily loyal to one side or the other. Not everybody wanted to be involved in that war. And you had some Southerners who were more in line with the way the North felt, and vice versa. So it was the blue versus the gray, right? And here we are today in America. And we've been told that we have in this country red states and blue states. The red states are generally regarded as the more conservative states. The red states would be the states where Trump would do well or a Republican would do well. And the blue states apparently are the states where the Democrats would do well, where Biden would get the most votes, for example. And there seems to be this kind of 50-50 philosophical split in America along party lines, the blues versus the reds, the liberals versus the conservatives, or something like that. I'm not sure how much longer we can go like this, how we could exist like this. And this kind of demographic created the appeal for a populist candidate who was Trump in 2016. And one might think Trump, would cross party lines. He wasn't necessarily a conservative. He wasn't a company man as far as the GOP went. He went for the GOP nomination and got it, but he wasn't really a Reagan-style or Bush-style conservative. He was kind of his own man, a populist candidate, and he won. Which I've never understood the vitriol that the left has for Donald Trump, the hatred they have for this man. It makes no sense to me. What exactly is it, if you consider his policies, that offend you so much if you're a Trump hater? What is it that he's done that offends you so much? What is it about the phrase, "Make America Great Again," that would offend any American? That makes no sense to me. I'm all about criticizing Trump if there's some legitimate criticism of him, but I don't hate the man. But the hatred that people have, that the people that do hate Trump, it really makes you wonder, what's wrong with you? Why would you feel that way about anybody? Now, as far as what's going on behind the scenes, I'm just going to give you my 2 cents worth. Again, I have to be careful about what I say. I'm not really sure what I can say and what I can't say. But this whole thing that is going on, this attempt to bring him down, this attempt to keep him from pursuing the office again, it's all being orchestrated from somewhere. And if you want to know my opinion about that, I don't believe it is his political rival, his current political rival, that is doing this. I believe that it is the president who served before him, who's behind the curtain pulling the strings. This has got the stink of Obama all over it, as far as I'm concerned. The man who never left Washington and is still pulling strings behind the scenes. Boy, I hope that don't get me in trouble. Now, you may be looking in from the UK or Malaysia or South America or Europe or Germany or wherever. And maybe this doesn't apply to you, but it kind of does, because there's a lot of political unrest in the world. There's a lot of political corruption in the world. And this is something that should concern us all, because while we're embroiled in these problems in America, we're seeing a lot of things break out in other places around the world. We're seeing China and Russia not only get stronger politically, but unite forces to some degree. You know, it's going to take a bold leader to get us through the next 4 years after this next election. I'm just not confident that the current president is the man who can do the job. Are you? Hey, let me know your thoughts down below. I really hate to get bogged down in politics. I want to try and find something more fun to talk about, you know what I'm saying? But it is what it is, and that's what we talked about today. Everybody have a great Thursday afternoon. Thank you so much for joining me. I'm glad you stopped in. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel and say and hit the like button. I would appreciate it. Take care, everybody. Thanks so much for joining me. Trailer Trash Tim, over and out. See you tomorrow.